Hey guys, how you going? Hope you're all doing very well. This afternoon I'm going to be doing another movie review. This movie is a horror film from Canada, English language, released in the year 2018, directed by Colin Minahan, and this film is called What Keeps You Alive. So What Keeps You Alive is about a lesbian couple. They're going away for a weekend retreat in the middle of the countryside. This is something that they desperately need to reconnect with each other and basically have some fun. So when they get to the cabin, they unpack and they start to enjoy themselves, but then slowly as this weekend progresses, the main character is going to start to suspect that there is more to her wife than she first thought, and that hidden identity behind this wife could actually prove very, very dangerous. And so the weekend has gone from a relaxation to a fight for survival, and whether or not everyone comes out in one piece is something you're going to have to find out for yourself, because that's as far as I'm going with my synopsis. Now my thoughts on What Keeps You Alive. This is definitely a case of a fairly average sort of movie with moments of brilliance. Now, there are moments in this film that I thought were absolutely fantastic as far as a horror aspect is concerned, and also as far as acting is concerned. Hannah Emily Anderson, who plays this mysterious woman, I thought her performance was absolutely brilliant in this movie. I thought she was very menacing. She had that side to her where you could actually believe that she was someone that you could fall in love with, but when things start to turn dark, I thought this is where she really came into her element. So that performance alone was absolutely fantastic. One of the most memorable sort of villains I've seen in a long time. And so I really liked her performance. And there were moments of true suspense, especially at the halfway mark. I thought, all right, well, this is really kicking into gear, and I'm starting to really feel the panic that's going on. And so as far as visuals are concerned, it's a very bleak looking film. And I thought the bleak sort of nature and the atmosphere, it is beautiful in what you're seeing in the landscape, but there's a certain tinge to the colour of the colour palette that really makes it feel very dreaded and uneasy. And so that uneasy feeling is intensified through the soundtrack. I thought the score was fantastic to really give you that insight into the desperation and panic that one of these couple were actually facing. And so I thought, all right, well, that was very good. And the cat and mouse aspect, I'm not going to give anything away, but there's a cat and mouse aspect of this movie that I thought was fantastic as well. And so that was all very good. And I thought that the acting, as I said, from especially that actress I just named, the other actress playing off her, I thought was fairly decent. I didn't really think it was a strong character. It was a character that you could feel sort of sympathetic for because what she has to go through, but not because she was someone you really cared for. So you're seeing these horrible things happen to her, and that's what gives you the sympathetic. You're really feeling more sympathy for her as opposed to actually caring for her. So you're reacting to certain things that are happening to her rather than trying to prevent things from happening to her. So it's not the sense of anticipation, it's basically feeling sorry for someone after you see what's happened to them. And so I thought that kind of eliminated a little bit of the scariness. I thought, all right, well, a little bit more attention into the other character as opposed to, having a great villain. I thought having it as someone that you could really relate to and actually feel as though you want to prevent something happening from her would have been a lot better. So I thought that character was a little bit weak. And I also thought the level of sustained terror wasn't there, is that there are moments that you really have you on the edge of your seat. You're thinking, whoa, this is really, really good. But then all of a sudden there's a pocket where you can breathe, and then it will kick into gear again, and then there's another little pocket. And so it doesn't really sustain itself. And to me, for a really good thriller or a horror film, if you can sustain a level of tension from start to finish, well, from the halfway point to the finish, there is that long sense that you need to take a breath and that you feel exhausted after watching it. But in this movie, it allows you to catch your breath, so you're not feeling as exhausted as you probably really should have. So that was the biggest problem to the film, is that the level of sustained sort of terror is not there. And it really could have been. If they went down a different path, as I said, at the halfway point, there's a cat and mouse aspect that I thought was fantastic, but then it goes down a different kind of path. And that's when I think it really started to feel disjointed with the pacing. The continuity isn't as fluent as it really could have been, and that is the biggest criticism I have of What Keeps You Alive. But it is a very impressive looking film as far as visuals. As I said, it's very beautiful, but at the same time the beauty is a contrasting difference to the ugliness that you have in the overall situation. There is some fairly nasty moments of violence that I thought was actually fairly good. It's not excessive, so it's not trying too hard, but there are some shocking moments that I thought, okay, well, that's really just adding to the impressive qualities that this movie has. So it's an impressive kind of film, But it's not a brilliant movie. It's a movie that really could have been a lot better. As I said, it needed to sustain that level of terror a little bit more. But as far as acting is concerned, Hannah Emily Anderson especially, her performance was absolutely fantastic. Having said that, the opposing sort of character I thought could have been a little bit stronger, and as I said, the level of sustained terror needed to be a little bit more consistent in actually making you feel exhausted. And that to me is the greatest horror and greatest thriller, is where you feel like you're out of breath, you need to catch it. And if a movie allows you to catch your breath, then for me, it's not quite as good as it really could be. So I thought right at the end of the film was fairly decent, so it was a good way to finish it off. And so it's definitely not a waste of time, but it's a movie that could have been a lot better than it was, and as a result of that, I'm going to give What Keeps You Alive 3 stars. Alright guys, that's it for my review. Hope you enjoyed it. Till next time, keep watching movies, and I'll see you later.